Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
What's going on, everybody? It's that time of the week. It's Friday. You know what that means. It's time for your favorite podcast, the SHW podcast. This is our wrestling. I'm Brandon Benefield, joined by our lovely ring announcer, Diana Michelle. Of course, you see, we're missing the other third of V3. That is GB. He's out of town. He's on assignment. We'll say he's on assignment right now.
Yeah.
And but filling in is a very special guest, the one and only Adam Jacobs. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going good, guys. I am super excited to do this podcast. Like I was talking to you earlier, this is the very first one I've done, so I couldn't start with anybody better than you guys. Ever.
Nice. Okay, well, chalk it up.
Well, we're honored. We're honored to be your very first podcast interview here. So welcome aboard here. It's the SHW podcast. Of course, we talk all things SHW. Last week, we kind of got an early look, took an early preview at the upcoming SHW 45, which will be a week from today, November 4th, SHW 45, where our guest has a very big matchup, but we'll talk about that later. He has a very big tag team championship match. But for the SHW fans that are new to you, of course, we know that you've been around quite a while, but you've just recently returned to wrestling and returned to SHW. A lot of fans may not know the backstory of Adam Jacobs. So if you wouldn't mind, kind of give us a quick, I don't know how quickly you can wrap up, the past 20 years, but, a quick like how you got into business. And, we'll just start there and then we'll just kind of, we'll wing it. We'll go from there. So yeah, how'd you get in this crazy world of pro wrestling?
Yeah. So when I was like 17 years old, this friend of mine named Toy Dotson, his uncle knew a guy that was actually a booker for a local show. And growing up, me and him always wanted to be wrestlers, and we were still in high school. So we would go to the shows on Fridays, and we were trying to figure out a way to get in and become wrestlers pretty much. But we were broke, still in school, didn't have any money. So we ended up talking to the guy that he knew, and he said that if we come in after the shows and clean the buildings up, then we could get trained for free. So that's exactly what we did. Every week we would go clean popcorn, clean, the floors up, whatever we had to do to get trained. So we trained for about 6 months. And my first match was the day after I graduated high school.
Wow.
That was 19. So this is going to date myself. So this was 1996. So I'm 44 years old right now. So I'm an old man. But
hey, we don't.
So it kind of just took off from there, and I started doing just local shows. And then I decided that I didn't want to just kind of be a local guy and stay in the same area, because for one, you don't learn anything until you find guys that are better than you.
Right.
So I ended up met up with a guy named Kenny Arden. I don't know if you know anything about Kenny Arden. Him and Frenchie Riviera, they were big staples in like the Nashville area. Kenny's passed away now. But Kenny got me in touch with Bert Prentice out of Nashville. Bert Prentice has actually passed away now too. So I started doing some shows for Bert at the famous Nashville Fairgrounds. And I was doing that. And then I met Bill Behrens, and he got me into NWA Wildside. So I started doing Wildside. I did that for 4 or 5 years. Me and AJ Styles kind of met at the same time. I met a bunch of the guys that are at Southern Honor now. Sal was there. I've known Sal since he was like 17 years old.
Wow. So
Sal, Tank, Dan, Reverend. So all of these guys at Southern Honor is kind of like a big reunion.
Right.
So everybody was kind of excited to see me, and I'm excited to be back. So that's kind of how it happened. And then I took a little time off, got married, did the whole 9 to 5 thing. And so now I'm kind of back, and I'm just having fun.
How long were you gone? Because I'm working on my 5th year. April will be 5 years for me. So I wasn't here probably when you left. So how long have you been gone?
I was doing just little spot shows here and there, like, local, like every few years, if something would come up and they would call me and ask me if I wanted to do something. If it was something really good that I knew a lot of guys, pretty much used to hang with it. But probably my last match up until when I came to Southern Honor was probably with Sunny Days, and it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then I had neck surgery and had to take some time off after that. But I am 100%, like, I feel completely better now than I have in years. I definitely don't feel 44. Like, I feel like I'm in my 20s. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, and I think a lot of fans will agree, and I'm not just sucking up because you're a guest on the podcast, but when you said 44, I'm pretty sure a lot of people that have seen you compete over the last few months at SHW would not believe that you're 44 years old. So you look in amazing shape. And like you said, it's cool that you're 100% and you came back. Now, we're kind of flattered that you would come make your return after nearly 5 years away and make your return to SHW. Was there any particular reason you chose SHW?
Yeah, Dylan. When I was working with him, we just have stayed in contact throughout the 3 or 4 years. And then he had told me, whenever you're ready, you just let me know, and there's going to be a spot for you. So yeah, it's pretty much been, it's pretty much that simple.
Yeah. When you talk about getting neck surgery, was there a situation was it a broken neck or what exactly happened with your neck?
No, so what was happening was, for about 6 months, every so often my left arm would go completely numb. And it would get better, but then it would go numb again. So then for a little while, for like a month straight, it never felt good at all. So it was to the point where it was beginning to scare me, because I was afraid there was going to be some nerve damage and all that good stuff. So what they did is they just went in and took 3 vertebrae out and put titanium in, and I'm 100%, like, I feel great. Yeah.
You set off metal detectors now?
I haven't yet, but that's not saying it's not.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Well, there you go. We're glad you're back. We're glad you're 100%. And you talked about some of your past with NWA Wildside. We know you're NWA World Television Champion, a former one, and a former NWA Wildside Champion, NWA Wildside Tag Team Champion. I see that. And then what was it? Ultimate NWA Tag Champ, with a familiar face to a lot of SHW people. He was one of the SHW champions at one point, Mr. Corey Hollis. Is there now he's been retired for just over a year now, as if you guys will recall, Gunnar Miller and Corey Hollis had that classic at last year's Still Here 3, the anniversary show. And of course, we bid farewell there to Corey Hollis. And I'm kind of surprised, because of pro wrestling, you never say never, and we'll still never say never. But it has been a full year, a little over a year now, and he has not stepped back into the ring. But I'll be lying if I said we didn't kind of miss Corey Hollis. I mean, he was the bad guy at the time, but I mean, come on.
He was a great bad guy, though. He was
one of the best. But
yeah.
I know him being a former tag team partner with you and a former tag champion with you. Is there any good Corey Hollis stories you might have for us?
You're gonna think it's weird, but I honestly just got off the phone with Corey.
Oh wow!
No, I don't think that's weird. Actually, I know he keeps in touch with folks, so that's pretty cool.
I talk to him every day. He'll send me pictures of his daughter Hadley. And like a minute ago, he actually called me for her to talk to me for a few minutes. But I told him that I definitely would not put him over on this. So I'm not, because he's gonna think I'm a really good friend if I talk nice about him.
So he knew. So you told him you were coming on with us, and he knew that.
He called, and I told him to leave me alone. I had more important things to do than talk to Corey Hollis. So yeah, I just talked to him.
Awesome. Well, do you have any kind of any dirt on him? Any kind of fun stuff from back in the day when you guys were, tearing it up on NWA Wildside?
I can just remember that when he was really, really green, and he was a kid. I mean, he was just a kid. But really, he wants to act like he's all tough, but but Corey will get his feelings hurt very easily. So any little jab I can get at him, I try. Like it's he always talks about one of our running jokes, and it's definitely not a joke at all. Is he's a diabetic, and we actually did a little gimmick at the Ultimate NWA show where we were not necessarily poking fun, because it's nothing that you want to joke about, but it was kind of part of an angle that he was a diabetic. But he will always bring it up, and I'll joke back and forth with him, saying that I'm going to go get him a Frosty, or he'll ask me, well, what are you doing right now? Actually, I'm at Wendy's eating a Frosty, something you can't do. Well, so that's cool, little stuff like that. But it's all in good fun, and he enjoys it. He definitely gives it back. So
yeah, that's the thing. If you can't dish it if you can't take it, kind of thing. I get it.
Yeah.
well,
Especially in wrestling, right?
Yeah, he would think I'd be mad at him if I didn't aggravate him. So
that's what it's all about. It's like you only pick on the people you love. I get it.
That's what they say.
yeah.
So we were just chatting a little bit off air, and you mentioned, was it when you were working back in the day, you were kind of working the heelish character? Was it All That? Is that what they were calling you?
All that Adam Jacobs. Yep.
All That Adam Jacobs. Now, my question for you pertaining to that is, do you have a preference as far as working face or heel?
I would rather work heel.
Okay.
I think it's a little more fun, and I can kind of be myself. Like I can be myself, but like turn it up to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
So what does that mean exactly? That you could be yourself and you're better as a heel? Does that mean you're a complete?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm
Really?
pretty much an
Okay.
asshole. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, it's just I don't pull any punches, and I pretty much say what I want to say, and if you don't like it, you can either punch me in the mouth or we can go on about it. So it's just a little more fun. I feel like I can interact with the fans a little more as a heel, and kind of get a little more out of the squeaky clean baby face.
All right.
Well, maybe what I've gathered is being a heel. I don't know anything about it. I've never been either one. I'm just me. But it's easier to piss people off than it is to make them happy.
Yes.
So it probably would be a little bit easier to be a heel, I would think.
Yeah, because when you're a heel, you can it's the initial reaction when you come out the curtain is you can just look at them just a certain way, and they automatically know that you're a bad guy. So for me, it's more fun. I like being a baby face. That's fun too. But if I had my choice, I'd like to be.
We're going to edit that out, B. We don't want anything like that right now.
Oh yeah,
we don't need him on the light side over here with the good. We don't need him going dark for right now. So
yeah, we were talking about this off air. We said there's enough darkness in SHW right now. We don't want to give him any ideas of turning to the dark side as it stands right now with
not right now
with Dishonor.
The momentum on our side for us.
Yeah.
And since we're on the subject, and we talked to Cyrus last week about this, and we asked him where he stood with all this honor, this Southern honor, dishonor stuff we've got going on. So he told us he was pretty much for himself. He didn't carry the way. He was just all about him. You've been here since the Rumble, Jack?
Yeah, that was my first time there. Yeah.
So you've seen how this has been developing over the last few months. What are your thoughts? Do you have a preference? Is this something I'm not gonna say preference, because if you say dark, I'm gonna say we're gonna cut this off right now and we're not doing this interview anymore because I don't want anybody else to see that right now. But what do you how do you feel about where we are at Southern Honor and how Dishonor is pretty much doing whatever they want to do?
As of right now, it hasn't really affected me.
Right.
I'm thinking after the match we're going to have for the titles, then my answer will probably be a little more clear. But I kind of agree with you that I'm just kind of doing my own thing, just concentrating on now me and Jordan, kind of trying to be the best tag team that we can be. And this is a big deal, getting a chance at the gold, my third or fourth time in. So the last thing that's on my mind is the the big saga, in between that's the least of my worries right now until it affects me. So, but it's probably going to affect me pretty soon, I feel like.
Yeah, which it may affect you next week. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
well, since we're on the subject, let's kind of touch on this a little bit. Of course, you're going to be teaming with Jordan Kingsley coming up next weekend, next Friday for the SHW Tag Team Titles. You're going to be going against Sunny Days and Sal Renaro, aka Happy Madness. Before we really get into your thoughts on that match, let's back up to last month real quick. Now, the reason this kind of came about with you and Jordan as a team, you guys were both competing in the Diamond Championship Invitational, the first
Diamond
ever.
Cup.
Yeah,
Diamond
the
Cup.
cup. That's right, Diamond Cup Invitational. Excuse me, even though it wasn't a cup, it was
Diamond
it
statue.
was a statue, but whatever. It's pro wrestling. You could just say, oh yeah, whatever. So I just wanted to ask you your thoughts on that match and kind of how cool it was that it was the first ever. And we talked about this leading up to the event last month with DDP putting his stamp on a match like that. I mean, that's kind of a big deal because DDP doesn't just put his name on anything. And so for him to put his name on that match, it's the first ever one. I would think we'll have more in the future. Maybe it'll happen at every anniversary show. I'm not sure yet, but the first ever Diamond Cup Invitational. How was that? And not only how was it competing in the match, but then the swerve at the end with Teddy Long coming out and turning it into a tag team match to where we had co-winners. Just your thoughts on the whole match, the whole night.
Yeah, so I thought being in the Invitational was cool anyway, just because, and I failed to mention this. Back right before WCW went under, right before Vince bought them, me and AJ, there was a bunch of us. We got extra spots on WCW, so we would go to Nitro, we would go to Thunder, and DDP was one of the guys that we would work with that would pretty much beat us up. So it's pretty cool. 20, 22, 23 years later, I'm actually an Invitational that has his name on it. And then to also have somebody like a legend like Teddy Long, come out and make that match. It was a cool experience. You kind of went full circle. I was just a kid when I first was kind of around Dallas Page and all that stuff, and now I'm a grown man now. So things have changed, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was definitely something that I was looking forward to, and I had a great time.
Did you do any work with Buff while you were there doing the extra stuff?
Yes. I've worked with him quite a bit, actually. Like right after WCW, he was pretty much just doing the indies because all the stuff happened with WWE with him and Booker T, and all that good stuff. So I had been around him, a few times. But yeah, Beth was there in WCW, at that time too. So that was a pretty cool moment to have him come out and actually award us that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. He's actually doing better. I saw he did an interview the other day, and he looks way better. He looks great.
Yeah, it was really cool for us because we got kind of surprised that he was going to join us on commentary, not only for y'all's match, but then for
half the show,
most of the show after that. He stayed up there and hung out on commentary with us. So that was kind of a thrill. And like you said, it's super cool to see that he's doing better, and he's with DDP right now, and DDP's kind of getting him back on that straight and narrow, and so that's very cool. I think it was a Chris Van Vliet video I saw recently on Instagram. He does a lot of the wrestling interviews, and he had a good one with Buff over the last week or so. So, but yeah, very cool there. Now, getting back to that match, you ended up tagged in a team in that tag team match with Jordan Kingsley, and that was impromptu. You weren't expecting for that to happen. How did you feel that you and Jordan gelled as a team, even though it was just thrown together at the last second?
I thought it was fine. I mean, we've definitely got a lot to, you go from just having a match where you've never tackled anybody to, the next show where, this is the real deal, so me and Jordan have a lot of communication that we need to get figured out. And I'm sure I'll be sending him a few messages and phone calls, leading up to this to kind of get some ideas of what he's thinking. And Jordan, right probably 5 years ago. I think he might have been just breaking in, or he was just getting started, and I did a show with him, and I immediately said, "This kid looks like a star. Uh, he wrestles like a star." So it was pretty cool, that it ends up being me and him in it, together, because I already have a little bit of rapport with him.
Very cool. What do you think about the I know you say you're old, but you're not old. Trust me. What do you think about the younger talent that we have, including Jordan? Well, not just in Southern Honor. I don't know. Do you do other stuff? I know you did KLT with the Superstar Fan Fest this past weekend, but throughout Georgia that you've seen, that you've witnessed, the younger guys, how do you feel things have changed? Or
I don't really think that it's really changed. I think that I don't know. Let me take that back. The business has definitely changed. Back when I started, you didn't have social media. That wasn't a platform. Now everybody can promote themselves. You don't have to rely on a promoter to promote you. And that was one of the things that a lot of people had told me. A lot of the old timers, and I guess I'm considered an old timer now, that they were like, "You're going to hate it. You're going to hate all the young guys. They all have attitude. They all think they're stars. They all want to do 1,000." When I came in, that was nothing like what they were saying. Which a lot of the guys, they know me there, or I was leaving about the same time they were coming in. So everybody has been super respectful, and even asking for advice and all that good stuff. So I have, if there was a locker room that was full of egos, it's definitely not Southern Honors. I haven't ran into anybody there that I'm like, I don't like that guy.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, I want to get back to Jordan real quick. You talked about him. I guess he was breaking in right when you were kind of taking your hiatus. Now, he actually was on our very first show. He's an SHW original. He was on our very first show in the very first match. He won the very first match. And then, he's had a shot at the tag team titles. He's had opportunities at the SHW title. So I know he's hungry for this match, and he's ready to, he's had a pretty good year up to this point, on the winning track. And so he's ready to get some gold finally. Now, the other interesting thing to note is because he's an SHW original, he knows Sunny Days very well. He knows Sal pretty well as well. And you just talked about, your last match before the hiatus was against Sunny Days. So I know you're very familiar with him. You basically grew up in the business with Sal Renaro. So I feel like you guys have a pretty good advantage already going into this match, kind of knowing these guys pretty well, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I've said, I've known Sal since he was 17. So I know everything Sal can do, and I feel like I don't know if I've ever worked Sal.
Oh wow!
But I know I've definitely. Yeah, I don't think I have. Because at Wildside, he was just starting, so he was kind of at the bottom of the card, and I was kind of little, so we never really intervened with each other. But he's good. Sal's really good.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He's got a great character, and he's pretty dangerous. And then I've been in the ring with Sunny Days a bunch. So and he's super dangerous too. So, but yeah, I feel like there is a little bit of advantage. I've got a little bit of knowledge to where Jordan is a little more athletic. So I think if we put the knowledge and athleticism together, we've got a pretty good chance on walking away with the Southern Honor tag titles.
I mean, don't sell yourself short there, man. I mean, I saw you jumping off that top rope.
I could barely get up the next morning. So, I'm going to leave that.
We're not worried about the next day. It's at the time we're worried about that. Then you can just take your Bengay and your ibuprofen or whatever it is you need to do the next day. But I think with if you and Jordan can get together and come up with a game plan, that you definitely have a good chance to come away with that victory, as long as there's no outside interference, which may sway your thoughts on Dishonor. So we'll see how it goes, but expect anything. That's what I'm going to say. Just expect anything.
Yep. That's and I'm going into every match, just go in and do the best I can, and whatever happens, happens. But always kind of be looking over your shoulder. You know, there's only a few spots at Southern Honor, and there is tons of guys that would love to take your spot. So if they can get you with an injury or anything they can do to get you out and take your spot, they will.
This is true.
And that's kind of anywhere you're going to work. It's kind of dog eat dog, it's like you're always, everybody's hungry, because I always say, like, if you're not there to be the best guy there, then, that should be your main goal.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Another thing I wanted to ask you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're there to be the opening card guy, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being the first match. A lot of times the first match is the most fun. That's the one that sets the pace. But if you're not wanting to get into that main event spot, you might as well pack your bag and leave, because you're going to stay right where you're at. And that's the last thing I want to do is get stale. So this is just another step up the ladder, for Adam Jacobs, I feel like.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you kind of touched on what you thought about the locker room, behind the scenes at SHW. Well, since you've been back, let's see, you came back at the Rumble Jack, so you've been there the last 3 months at this point, I guess. What are your thoughts overall on just being at SHW, just the production value? Because you've kind of been all over the place, and I always like to hear people's thoughts that come in brand new if they've been there their first time. Because I know some people are just kind of blown away, because it really is. Not to steal a Gary Lamb-ism here, but it is a whole nother level compared to most indie shows in Georgia. So what was your thoughts coming in? And now that you've been there for 3 months, what are your thoughts at this point?
Well, I kind of had a little bit of an idea what to expect, because I had been talking, I stay in contact with Kyle Matthews. I'm really good friends with him. So, I talked to a lot of guys, in the locker room since I've been gone. And they had all told me that if I'm going to come back to Southern Honor, production value is pretty good. I mean, I haven't seen anything any better in Georgia, or really in the South. I haven't seen anything in the South any better as far as the look of the show, and how and even as something as simple as of how you guys dress. I know it sounds crazy, but you all three look professional, and that sets the stage for the show, because I feel like y'all are the first faces they see. So if you guys look horrible, then they're not going to expect anything else. But y'all are always dressed to the T, and I think that means a lot. So production value and just how everybody carries themselves, even back to the photographers in the back, just everything about it. It is, and I've been on some pretty good shows. Not to toot my own horn, but I've done some pretty cool stuff. And as far as how everything is just timed out and everything to the second, the music cues are perfect. You can't beat it. To me, there's no wasted time, at all. There's no wasted motion at all. So it's definitely the show in Georgia, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And glad to hear you say that. And, I think a lot of people will agree with that as well. And we've all been to plenty of other shows, and not to, put anybody else down, but you've been there where, like, in between matches, there's just a lull, but the great thing about SHW, and this is props to, pull back the curtain a little bit, but this is props to Dylan and the production team, is, we have like video packages in between matches that tee up the next match, which is something you'll see on Raw or Dynamite. It's a really cool thing. And the thing is, Diana talked about, she's in, what did you say, your 5th year being in the wrestling business. So I'm actually I came in at SHW the very first show, never had any experience in indie wrestling, never been to any other indie shows. So I'm still a baby as well in this business. But so yeah, the 4-year anniversary, that was my 4-year anniversary as well, I guess. But so when I came in, I got spoiled right off the bat. Like, I came in and this was like, wow, this is amazing. This is like, an NXT level show, and so a lot of people are like, oh, well, wait till you see like Georgia indie wrestling or indie wrestling anywhere else. And
Mhm.
again, not to take away anything from those folks, but it really is a different level of just
Yeah.
production and professionalism overall. And so, yeah, I got spoiled from the very, very beginning, luckily. But anyways, I do want to move on and talk about this upcoming card for next week. Now, last week we did kind of have a mini preview show, so we're not going to go in depth on all of these matches, but we did hear about a couple more things this week that got added to the card. So let's start with those. One of those matches coming up is going to be the working team captain Owen Knight and the outlandish Zicky Dice going one-on-one here. Now, there's not really any kind of stipulation for this match, but I would think that whoever would win this match would have a lot of momentum, going towards, perhaps a title push at some point. Owen, of course, being a former champion. Zicky Dice coming back. We saw him at the Rumble Jack. We hadn't seen him for a while. He showed up at the Rumble Jack, and now we haven't seen him since, and he's making his return here. But he's always a threat, in my opinion. So,
because you ate his cupcakes, he's not always going to be mad at you.
well, that's true. Now by the way, I'll get to that in a second. And I feel like I should explain this to Adam because he wasn't here last year. There was a cupcake incident on one of the shows.
It was Zicky's birthday.
It was Zicky's birthday. By the way, I'm going to get to this. We have the return of Ashton Starr's world famous petty party. So Ashton Starr had the petty party, and was it a full year ago?
It's been a minute.
Okay. It's been at least a year, I think. And on that show, it coincided with Zicky's birthday. There were cupcakes sitting at the commentary booth. Nobody made us aware what they were there for. I proceeded to go ahead and help myself. Apparently, they were part of Ashton's petty party, and he was going to present them to Zicky for his birthday. And I got caught, not even red-handed. What were
you like on your third one or something?
Well, all right. Just come on now. Easy. But yeah, maybe 3 or 4. Anyways, that's not important. So I don't know what you would say. It wasn't red-handed. It was like frosting faced. I don't really know what it would be, but I got busted. And then, I got brought into the ring. It was kind of an ugly scene until technical excellence, Chip Day and Kyle Matthews saved the day. And I didn't get my tail whooped or anything like that. But those were the better days of technical excellence. Of course, nowadays they're at each other's throats, but we'll get to that match. Anyways, that's just to give Adam a quick recap as the history of the cupcake incident of 2021.
You gotta love cupcakes. Yeah.
Oh, they were delicious. Don't get me wrong. But anyways, so Zicky Dice, Owen Knight, you guys, your thoughts on this matchup. Now let's talk to Adam real quick. Are you familiar with both of these guys? Have you worked with either one of them?
I'm not familiar with Ziggy at all.
Okay.
I don't really know a whole lot about him. Owen, I think I might have done a few indies with him, a few years ago. He's been around for a little while.
Yeah.
I remember he's got in really good shape, so he looks way better. So, but yeah, as far as Ziggy, I don't know a whole lot. I know he does some stuff with Impact. But other than that, I don't really know a lot about him. People talk about him, the charisma. Yep. Yeah, he's definitely charismatic. From what I hear.
I would say Google him, watch one episode of anything he's done, and you'll know everything you need to know about Zicky. Everything you need to know.
Let's just say his name fits him because he is outlandish.
He is definitely outlandish in every single way.
So that's going to be a fun match. The other thing that got announced, and again, I touched on this a second ago, was the return of the world famous Ashton Starr's petty party. Now, every time Ashton has
also gotten to some phenomenal shape recently. I must shout out to Ashton because holy crap, put in the work, dude.
Absolutely. Yes. And he has not been around SHW much over this past year. So we're very excited that he's going to be back. And I'm super excited because it's the return of the petty party. Now, the thing is, every time we have a petty party, it ends up being an explosive situation. Now, this one will be no different because these two guests are going to be the Black Cloud of Dishonor, Joe Black, and Blacklist Uno himself, Murder One. So two guys that have quite the history for years and years. Now, it's kind of crazy because you had Murder One who was backing SHW. You have Joe Black who has joined Dishonor several months back. And where does that relationship stand? You know, Joe Black eliminating Black Lasoon or Murder One from the Rumble Jack a couple months ago. So will Ashton
Which
be
is
able?
probably why he backed Southern Honor at the anniversary show.
It
Because
may
he
be.
said,
But will Ashton be able to get to the bottom of this? Will will we be able to get to a peaceful resolution? I don't see it happening. Like I said, every time Petty Party happens, something crazy happens. I almost got my butt whooped for eating cupcakes one time. There was one time, remember, there was Joe Black and Huck were guests on there.
it was
when,
a contract signing in blood.
Yeah.
Literal
Well,
blood.
it wasn't supposed to be in blood. Huck just decided to whip out a knife and cut his arm and then sign it in blood, which freaked everybody out. I'm still freaked out by it.
Wow.
But yeah, then remember way back, Diana, the very first Petty Party, Logan Chase was a guest on the show. And that was back in the day when Sean Dean was Logan
that
Chase
was before me.
Yeah, Sean Dean, Logan Chase was Sean Dean's manager at the time. And
I had to go back and watch that on IWTV because that was before me.
So like I said, it's always an explosive situation with the Petty Party. So there's no telling what's going to happen. Now, Adam, I know Joe Black has been in the business for a good while, and of course Murder One has as well. Do you have any history with either one of these gentlemen? Well, I don't know if I should. I use the term gentleman loosely, by the way. So.
Yeah, Joe Black. I don't know a whole lot about him besides the fact that he looks like a monster. He's definitely jacked up. Murder One. We go way back. So he was at NWA Wildside with me 20 years ago. So yeah, I know a lot about Murder One. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. So I definitely know for sure that I don't think it's going to end up being peaceful. I feel like there's going to be some fists thrown in both directions. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting, regardless of what happens. Now, of course, now the rest of these matches we did touch on last week, but we'll just go over them real quick again so you guys are familiar with what's coming up next Friday at SHW 45. Gunnar Miller, Carly Bravo. Woo! This is going to be interesting. Now, after what happened last month in the War Chamber with SHW, Team SHW coming out on the losing end, thanks to Gunnar surrendering the match. Well, after the match, he put out a video saying he was going to go after every member of Dishonor. Well, it looks like he's going to be starting next Friday with Carly Bravo. Now, Carly Bravo has been on a bit of a hot streak, but at the same time, you know, if you remember a couple months ago, Diana, he was like the one member of Dishonor that lost his match. So it seems like they're still a cohesive unit. At the time, it seemed like there might be some cracks in the foundation there for Dishonor. Then they went on and won the War Chamber last month. So it seems like they're back on, you know, in good graces with each other. But it'll be Carly Bravo, Gunnar Miller, going to be a good one. Gunnar Miller, are you familiar? Did you guys overlap, Adam?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, so I think I might have been there for his very first match. Wow. I think. I don't remember him ever having a match before that. I didn't really know him. Of course, we would say hi and bye. But he didn't live too far from me. He's about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. But we actually have became, pretty good friends since I came to Southern Honor. He definitely deserves all the praise that he gets. Gunnar can flat out go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we've seen it ever since he debuted a couple years ago. Now he was kind of like you, where he had taken off a couple years and then made his return to SHW and just kind of took SHW by storm. And now, he's one of the fan favorites. And it's like, he won the Rumble Jack, then he got thrown in the title match after the Rumble Jack that same night. And, it was over like that. And I think a lot of fans are hopeful that he'll get another opportunity at some point. And maybe once he goes through everybody from Dishonor, who knows when that might be, but hopefully he'll get another shot at the title here. So speaking of shots at the title, the 30-minute Iron Man match between Chip Day, Kyle Matthews, it was announced that it is also going to be a number one contendership match. So whoever wins this match will be the number one contender for the SHW title at some point down the road. Now, you mentioned being good friends with Kyle Matthews. So you know him probably better than most of us. How do you think his odds are in a 30-minute Ironman match? I'm sure he can go the distance, and I know Chip Day can go the distance, but what do you think?
If I was a betting man, I would be completely confused on who I wanted. That's one of those matches where if some of the young guys aren't standing at the curtain and watching these guys, they need to, because I can remember, they were kids, and I can remember them coming to me and telling me that they watched my match and they were wanting to learn. So both of those guys are super impressive. And actually, a funny story. My son's favorite wrestler, not his dad, but his favorite wrestler is Chip Day. And I'm like, son, like, I'm the dad.
Of course.
So but yeah, so if there's anybody that I want my son to think is really good, it's Chip. So Chip may be my favorite wrestler. I hate to say it because I don't like him, but Chip's good. So him and Kyle have a heck of a match. Now it being an Ironman match, I'm even going to be at the curtain. So it's going to be.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's going to be one where the locker room's going to be watching it as well. In addition to the crowd there, the crowd's going to get a treat. The locker room's going to get a treat. The thing is, I say this about so many matches at Southern Honor Wrestling, is that I don't know which one of the guys is going to win, but the crowd's definitely going to win because it's just going to be a great match. So,
I mean, this has potential to be match of the year. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Look, two technical wrestlers that have been awarded Technical Wrestler of the Year multiple times, going at it with just spite and disgust for each other and just ready to tear the house down. I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That match alone will be worth the price of admission.
Yes.
That match there. So yeah, I'm
a bag of popcorn.
And a bag of popcorn.
Bingo. Absolutely. Now, of course, I mentioned that match is for the #1 contendership for the SHW Championship. That brings me to the SHW title matchup. It's going to be the Heathen Cruel, the SHW champ, taking on the Bloodbath Behemoth Tank. Now, Diana, I don't even think I talked to you and GB about this, but I did find out from SHW management, breaking news here, this will be a no DQ match. Okay, no DQ. And with these two monsters involved in no disqualification, we've seen what they've done.
It's going to be straight up death match then.
Well, we've seen what they've done in death matches. We've seen what they've done in no holds barred matches. So a no DQ match, it's going to be insane. You've got Tank, Strong Style, Psycho, and then the Heathen Cruel. It's going to be intense. These guys have kind of been back and forth the last few months. And I think this has been one of those, I think we've seen the visual. Maybe was it at the end of the Rumble Jack where we kind of had that face off a little bit of Tank and Cruel. And I feel like then you could feel it in the air. The crowd wanted to see it. I know we wanted to see it. And we're finally going to get to see it at SHW 45 next Friday. So real quick, you talked about going way back with Tank and the Reverend. So your thoughts on this matchup real quick.
This match will definitely be, if you don't want to see blood and you
probably
this, you might want to turn your eyes. Tank, like I said, I've known Tank. Me and Tank have rode in a car for hours. Me, Tank, and just think about the combination of Tank and the Reverend and me in a car together. It can't be any more of the odd couple. And Cruel, I know he just got back from Australia, so he's going to be ready to go. So he's a like, he literally looks like something out of a monster movie. This one's gonna be interesting. So if you think that you might take it down to the floor, I promise you will be used.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees,
Rob Zombie,
Michael Myers, and Cruel. Cruel's in there now. So you're right. He really is straight out of a horror flick, and it's pretty terrifying. I'm not gonna lie. So. Man, this is going to be crazy. It's going to be a wild night. And then, of course, we mentioned the SHW Tag Title match. Yourself, Jordan Kingsley taking on Happy Madness. Good luck to you guys in that matchup. And, for the sake of SHW, we're pulling for you, man. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it because that's the thing. Dishonor has the championship with Cruel and the tag titles with Sonny and Sal. So, we need something, man. We need something. So good luck to you guys. And I can't wait. Any last thoughts before we let you go here?
I think it is time for a little change. Like you were saying, Dishonor they took over. So I don't see anybody any more. It might as well be me and Jordan.
Why not? Why not?
Maybe if me and Jordan can get the ball rolling, start winning, winning some belts, then slowly everybody else can kind of jump on board. So it's definitely going to be fun. So I don't want anybody to miss it. And me and Jordan definitely need all the support we can get, because it's definitely going to be a tough one, but it's going to be fun.
Absolutely,
man. Watch. Definitely going to be fun.
Yeah, going to be good. We cannot wait to see you guys there. And I just want to thank Adam for coming on. How was it, by the way, your first podcast? How do you feel?
It was great. Yeah, I had a good time. I had a good time. So the first one, this definitely won't be the last. And I would love to, once me and Jordan win the tag belts, it'd be pretty cool to come back on the show with a tag belt on my shoulder. So y'all just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
We will love to have you back anytime. And of course, next time you come back, hopefully GB will be with us, because I know he's going to be jealous that he didn't get a chance to talk to you.
He has tons of questions in his little whatever mind of a locket he's got that he could have asked you that we just missed, because he knows all about everything. So
Gerard is one of the smartest, and I know you've met him, Adam, but to actually sit down and talk to him, one of the most knowledgeable wrestling fans you'll ever meet. Like, he knows his business. He knows the history. He knows
the dates, the time, the arena, the match, who was in the front row. He knows it.
Here's the thing. At the end of every show, I can't even remember what I said in the previous match. So anyways, but he's on a whole different wavelength than I am. But anyways, so we can't wait to have you guys back, or have you back specifically. And hopefully you and Jordan maybe as tag team champs. But I want to give you a big thank you. Thank you for coming on with us, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. I had a blast. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Diana, that is going to wrap us up. And again, don't forget, come join us next Friday. That's November 4th, SHW 45. And hey, tickets go on sale at the door starting at 5 p.m. Doors open at 7 p.m. And of course, bell time 8 p.m. And you are not going to want to miss it. But until then, Diana, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Until then, this has been
SHW.
This is our wrestling. That's normally GB's part, but I got to do it this week because he's not here.